Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you for the DeKalb County Library System. And today we're going to do two projects. Well, sort of. We're going to do two pendants. And I'm taking something, I don't know how many people have heard of Crazy Matt, is what he calls himself. And he does all kinds of jewelry, just little displays as he's doing things to sell. He does live things on YouTube. And he did one that I really thought was pretty. Very easy to do. We're going to do something similar to what he made, and then we're going to take it one step further and make it our own, maybe two steps further. So we're going to make two pendants today. I'm going to try to keep it down to a reasonable amount of time. Shouldn't take too long. Neither one of them is hard to do. It's more artistic than anything else. Very free form. So let's get started. Let's get down to the other camera. But first, let me tell you what we need. We need our usual cutters, square nose pliers, round nose pliers, a ruler, some 20 gauge wire, 24 gauge wire, 24 or 26 gauge wire. You can also use 18 gauge wire. And what else? Beads. And because we are heading into warmer temperatures, I thought we could use some nice mother of pearl shell irregular shaped beads to make our pieces today. So let's get going. Let's get down to the other camera and get started. So what I have here is my 20 gauge wire. I'm going to start with the similar project to the one that Crazy Matt did. So what we're going to do is take 18 inches of 20 gauge wire, and we're going to take a bead. It can be the bead of your choice. I'm using this mother of pearl shell bead, and I would go with 6, 8, 10 inches or millimeters. This one is, and of course these are all different sizes and shapes. This one just happens to be about 8 millimeters. And as you can see, it's not a specific shape. It's just something that's I thought was very pretty. It's kind of a rose color. And so what you want to do is slide your bead on, slide it down to the center, as close to the center of your wire as you can get. And then we're going to wrap around the bead. So what I'm going to do is bring one of my tails of wire around the bead to start. Just wrap that around like so, and then follow it around with the other wire. And just keep wrapping until I have a nice little frame around my bead. I want to keep it kind of close to the wire. A little tight, but I don't want my wires to overlap each other. I want one wire beside the other. So once I've made a nice full circle around my wire, and you decide which way you want this to stand up. I'm going to give it one more little wrap. So I just have a nice little kind of a frame around my bead. So I think I'm going to have it standing this way. So this is the way it's going to go. Yeah. So just wrap it until you get to the point where you have the top of your bead, wherever the top of your bead is going to be. And I'm going to give it this as the top. So this will be the top of my bead. So now I'm going to start just wrapping it. So the first thing I'm going to do is, move my ruler out of the way here. I'm going to give it a little swirl. A swirl in a loop. And this is, again, very, very free form. So what I'm going to do is just make a little loop here. So you can see I just kind of bend it back. I'm going to loop it. And it's really neat to have these little swirls with the shells because it kind of imitates waves. So I've got one little loop there, and I'm going to keep on looping around and then bring it back and do another little swirl. And make sure, I try to make sure that the wires are beside each other, not on top of each other. Okay. Now I have another little loop there. So there we have that. Let me get one more. I'm going to go all the way over to the outside of my loop, and I'm going to make one more loop. There we go. Isn't it pretty? Nice. And now we're going to make one more loop at the top, which is what we're going to use to put on a chain. We're going to use that for our bail. So now I just need a small loop. You can use your pliers, your round nose pliers. Most of this I just do by hand. Just need a small loop. And notice I'm going past this loop so that when I finish my little bail loop, it will rest on top, right in the center of the other loops. So this is going to be my bail loop right there. So I'm going to take one of my wires and wrap it around the base of my loop. Fix my loop there a little bit better. And then the same with the other one. And I'm going to hold this with my pliers so that this doesn't shift too much. So now I'm just going to wrap the other wire around the base of my small loop at the top. And I'm going to, as Matt calls it, scarf this. I call it a funnel wrap myself. So I'm going to wrap that around. My camera looks like it's really weird. Weird things. Let's get down there where you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to wrap that around, and I'm wrapping it up the loop. So you can see I'm making a little, kind of a little scarf around its neck. Then when I get to where I have no more wire left, I'm going to bring it around. And just tuck it right down into this little funnel, this little opening there. I have just enough to do that. Get down there. Yeah, there we go. Just barely made it. And then the other one, I'm just going to cut off. Cut it off nice and close. Notice how I hold on to the end of that so it doesn't go flying off to parts unknown. Then I'm going to take my flat pliers. I'm going to push that wire down so that it won't catch on anything. And there's my pendant. It is probably one of the easiest things you can make. Very, 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 very free form. And then you can just make whatever adjustments you need to make. Go in and straighten out my bail a little bit. There it is. And then you can just take I'm just going to take this little piece of chain over here. Add a couple of jump rings. Slide it on. And you have a pendant. Down here you can actually see it. Isn't that neat? It's so easy, so simple, and very pretty. Looks like it's upside down on camera. I probably flipped it the wrong way. I don't know. I always can't remember which way it looks on camera, but isn't that nice? Now, I said we were going to take it one step further, and we are. So what we're going to do now is kind of the same thing, but kind of not. Because a little while back, let me let you see me while I'm talking. A little while back, I did another piece that people just loved, and it involved wire and feeding wire through tubing, and then shaping that into a pendant to make a statement piece. And one of the things that a couple of people said was, oh, that's really neat, because what we did was, I don't have it. I actually gave it away to a charity to use for an auction. So it's gone. I can't even show it to you. But what I did with that one, we made swirls on the end, kind of an S shape with swirls on it, and then wrapped beads around it. And somebody said, that's really neat, but I would love it to be more, not horizontal, make it vertical. And I thought, I mean, you can do that. You could have turned it any way you wanted and hung it on a chain. But I thought this time, what we will do is something similar. It's going to be a different shape because I'm going to freeform it. And we're going to make a nice vertical piece today with our cord. With our it's not leather cord, tubing. With our tubing and our wire and some shell beads, and we're just going to make another statement piece. Get ready. Here we go. All right. So we've got this one all finished, very pretty. So what we're going to do now is take some more 20 gauge wire, in this case, 21 inches of 20 gauge wire, 16 inches of your choice of tubing. You can get this, you should be able to get this at any craft store. It's usually in the kids department, and they come in packages, and they've just got a little opening in them that you can slide wire through. I don't know what kids use them for, but I thought it was a little odd that they only had it in the kids section when I saw it. But we're going to use 16 inches of tubing, 21 inches of wire, and we're going to make something similar to this. Just a nice little piece that you can use as a pendant. That's what we're going to do. See, it's very flexible. But I think we're going to add some beads to ours, but isn't that, it's different. Different, what can I say? All right, so what we're going to do is take some nice little shell beads again. And this time we're going to start on the end. So what I'm going to do is take my round nose pliers and slide my wire down about 2/3 of the way down my pliers and put a little curve in my wire like that. Not a loop, just a little hook, so that when I slide my bead on, it gets captured in the little loop. And you want it big enough so that it hangs over the side, whichever way you turn it. And then I'm going to push this down so it's not sticking up. And now I'm going to wrap my wire around my bead. So let's do that. So I'm just going to give myself a nice little wrap around my bead, a little spiral. So I'm just wrapping it around. Now I'm at the very beginning of it. I'm going to give it another little wrap all the way around. And I don't want my wire to bunch up on itself. I want it kind of free-form and loose around the bead so that you can see the shape of it. Now that's what I'm doing. You can do it any way you want. I'm just going twice around my bead. Like so. So now I just have a little wrap around it. Like that. And now I'm going to introduce my tubing. And I decided to use this kind of gray tubing. I'm turning this light off. It's too bright. I don't like it. I'm going to turn this overhead light on instead. Oh, same difference. I don't think it's making much of a difference at all. But anyway, I'm using this kind of grayish tubing because I wanted it to have a kind of a seascape type look. So I'm using these nice little kind of aqua, it's mother of pearl, so it kind of shimmers between an aqua and a sea blue, I guess you can call it. Not sure what color that is. Isn't that pretty though? So I wanted to use gray so I could keep, so it's in keeping with kind of sea and sky and not too dark. So I'm going to feed, I fed my tubing down the wire, and then I'm going to feed it around till it's partially in the circle of my wire, like that. Sorry, I'm trying to get this to focus, focus. Doesn't want to focus. So I'm just feeding it down part of the way into my circle here. And now what I'm going to do, what you do after this is entirely up to you. I'm going to make a loop. In fact, I need less of this because I need more at the top here to use for my loop. Let's push more of that down around my bead so I have more space at the top. There we go. Is that enough? Yeah, I'm going to cut a little bit of it off. I'm just going to use my clippers here and just cut around the tubing itself. I don't want to catch on my wire and cut my wire. I just want to cut my tubing. And look what I just did. I cut my wire, Virginia. Well, I'm just going to make a smaller project. So let's just I need a good 2 to 3 inches for my loop here. Yeah, so I'm going to have to cut off about 3 inches of my tubing. Don't you just love free form? Love it, love it, love it. All right, so I need a good 3 inches of this. You know what? Instead, I think I'll just take that off and cut down to what I need. Okay, I need 3 inches for my bail. And this is where I'll cut. You can use scissors too. You don't have to use your cutters for that. I'm just doing it. Snip that off. Feed it back over the wire. Like so. There we go. And now let's start shaping. It's the fun part. And again, you can do it any way you want. I'm just going to I want to make waves. And I'm going to start with on this one, I did a loop at the bottom, which I kind of like. Maybe I'll do that. I won't do that. I'm just going to do waves. So just make a little U shape, a little sideways U shape there. And then go over to the other side and make another little bend in it. And then I'm going to make the next one a little bigger, a little further out to the side, like so. And that's going to be a little further out to the side as well. And you, again, I keep saying free form. Yes, it is free form. You can do this any way you want. It's your design. Ooh, that's kind of neat. I must say so myself. And right now, this is very bendable. But what happens is with all of the work you're doing with it, it will eventually work harden, and it'll still be somewhat malleable, but you don't have to worry about it getting all out of shape because it will conform to back to whatever shape you want it to be. So I think this is good. What do you think? I like that. I'll bring it in just a little bit more. It's not quite so big. And the biggest thing I try to make sure of is that my bail is directly over my bead so that it hangs straight. Yes. So bring that over a little more. Yep. There we go. I like the way this one scoops down, so I'm going to do that over here. Give it a little bit more of a swoop. Make it less angular, more rounded. And you can adjust this as often as you like. That's what's so much fun about this one. A little bit more over here. What are we thinking? There, a little more over here. See how you can get so lost in this because you're just playing, which is what I feel like I'm doing, just playing. There it is. That is it. I'm going to bring this in a little bit, just a bit. What do you think? I kind of like it. There it is. Yay. And now it's time to make my bail. Yes. So what I want to do, still playing, sorry, can't help myself. There it is. So what I want to do is make a bail right up here at the end of my tubing. So I'm going to make a nice big loop up here. sort of like I did with this one, except that it's going to be a single loop, obviously, since I've only got a single piece of wire. And I'm just going to use my hands. It doesn't have to be done with pliers unless you just want to. So I'm going to make my loop. Notice I have it out at almost a right angle, not quite, because I'm going to bring it around to the other side. So I'm just going to take the wire and shape it into a nice large actually, loop with my fingers. Here we go. Doesn't need to be quite that big, but I do want it to be a good size so that it's part of the statement that we're making. Okay, so there's my loop. And now we're going to wrap. The first thing that I'm going to do, let me round this out a little bit more. In fact, you can use something bigger than this to round it out. You can use a pen, a pencil, or you can just use your fingers. And it depends on the strength of the wire that you're using. I'm using 20 gauge, so that's not that hard to manipulate. It's very malleable. So I don't have to worry about whether or not I can use my fingers. So now I'm going to wrap. The first thing I want to do is kind of wrap up this little tail of tubing a little bit. So I'm going to grab my square pliers and I'm going to wrap that around just below the top of my my tubing. I'm going to give it another wrap just above that one. Just to enclose it. And then I'm going to start my little funnel wrap. Now, when you're doing this wrap, you don't want to pull it tight, because if you do, it will end up closing your loop. And you want that to be nice and wide. You just want a few wraps around the loop. And I like to bend it around, because in that way there's no possibility of me pulling it too hard and then closing up my little loop here. But see how it's starting to make a little bowl there? Again, I call it a funnel. This is one of my favorite wraps. And we've manipulated this wire so much at this point that it's already starting to harden, getting a little less malleable, which is fine. Okay, and then I'm going to bring this around, and I think I have enough to bring it all the way around here. It's going to be pretty tight. Wrap that around and push this end down into the little bowl. See that little bowl there? A little opening. I'm going to push this down into it. So now it's out of the way. It's not going to cause any problems. It's not going to scratch anything or anybody. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our little piece. Are we finished yet? Of course not. You've still got things to do. What, you ask, could be left? Well, why don't we add some beads? I want to. Why not? Why not? Why not? All right, I've only got 3. I need one more. One more bead. This is yeah, take that off of there and use it. There we go. So I think I'm going to plug some beads in right here, just because. Why not? Do you think that would be too much? Maybe. I might not do this one. Just these 3. Let's do it. And then if I want to add another one, I will. So for that, I'm going to need some 24 gauge wire. So I'm just going to give myself about 1 foot of 24 gauge wire. And then that way I can wrap one and then cut it off and then move to the next one and cut it off, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so what I'm going to do is wrap my wire around my tubing right here. It's going to give it a couple of wraps. I keep this little short end of tail so I have something to hold on to while I'm wrapping. And I like to push it through and pull it through so I have a little more control. There we go. I want my wraps to be nice and close together. You don't have to strangle the tubing, but you do want it secure. Let's go around again. Push these together. And then this little tail here, I'm going to bring that to the inside of my this little well, this little curve. And cut it off. But I want to cut it off on the inside again so it won't snag on anything. There we go. Now I'm going to grab a bead. And let's place it on the inside of my little wave and wrap it on the other side. I gave 3 wraps on the other side, so I'm going to do the same here. So we have a little conformity. Squeeze my wraps together so that they're nice and close. And clip the tail off. And then push it down with my flat pliers. There we go. Here's one bead. Let's put another one over here. put this one over here. It's bigger. Like that. Going to do the same thing. We're going to grab our wire, keep a little tail there so that you can hold on to it, and wrap. I'm going to do 3 times again. It's my go-to number. 1, 2, and 3. And you'll see as you're working with this, this will start to shift and open up and things like that. But that's okay because, again, it's very shapeable. You can reshape it when you're finished. Okay, let's cut off this short tail. Push those together. Cut off my short tail. And push down that end. Okay, grab my bead, slide it on. Where's me going through? Oh, it's got a little crimp in it. Now let's slide it on. There we go. Slide it right there to the inside of my little swoop, my little wave. I'm going to bend it to the side here so that now I have a little bend in it so that it lays nicely against my tubing. Now, considering the fact that I have a bead that's just a little bit different, it doesn't have any specific shape. What I can do, this has little grooves in it, and this is one of the little grooves here. See these little grooves that are in it? I can format that. In this case, I can rest one of those grooves, one of those little folds against my tubing to help hold it in place. And I'm going to bend the wire till it's nice and close to the bead and wrap. One, two, three, and clip. Okay. Tamp down that little end, nice and smooth. Get in there. You're supposed to be on the inside. There you are. Neat, huh? I'm tempted to stop with that, but I will give it one more. I have to decide if I want to do 2 more. I'm just going crazy. Okay, let's do this one. Let's do one at the top here. And one of the good things about this is it'll help hold it kind of in place with these wraps. Okay, let's slide another bead on. Well, first let's go ahead and wrap this side. Got my little tail here. Wrap around. Once, twice, and 3 times. Push my little loops together. Cut out this little tail. There we go. And push down the end. Nice and snug. Grab my bead, slide it on. Now, here's a little trick. See how it's just sticking straight up this way? I want my bead to kind of, it's going to rest against my tubing. So I'm going to bend this so I have a little bit of a dip and something for it to rest into. So if I bend this in the direction that I want my bead to go, it'll rest nice and easy against my tubing. Like so. And let's wrap. How close do I want that? Yeah, close. There we go. Okay, wrap that around. One more time. Squeeze those together. 1, 2, one more. And squeeze. And let's clip off the end. And push down that little tail there. I love the fact that the tails of this can really be pushed down into the tubing so they don't stick up at all. There we are. Neat, huh? Isn't that neat? Should I put one more? I'm just going crazy. I think I will. Let's just put one more. Why not? I have enough wire here. See, I only used a foot of wire. Okay, let's get to this last little untouched swirl here, little wave. Let's wrap that around it. Once and twice. For the third one, I'm going to wrap it on the short end. Put that around there. There we go. Push that down. Snip it off. Push those ends together, or the rings together. Nice and neat. Push the ends down so they don't snag on anything. And let's add our bead. Again, I'm going to make a little bend in my wire so that my bead has somewhere to go and rest against my tubing. There, nice little bend. And wrap. A 1 and a 2, and let's push this together. Nice and neat here. Yeah, and 3. Snip off the end, the tail. Push down the end. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we have a winner. That's so neat. And what you can do, you can add more beads to it. I was going to add some more beads to it, but I thought, no, I will leave that to your imagination. You can shape it, reshape it the way you want it to look. Here we go. Then pop some jump rings on there and put it on a chain. You know what? I am gonna put this on a chain because I want you to see what it would look like if I can find some jump rings in here. Where are they? Do I have some out here somewhere? Thought I did. But if I do, I don't know where they are. Oh, you know what? I do know where they are. They're in on this one. I'll take them off of here, put them on the other one, slide on a little chain, and then you can see what it looks like. Okay. Chain here. Doesn't have to be too long because this is about 3 inches, I think. Yeah, about 3.5 inches. I'm gonna give myself 18 inches of chain here. Maybe not even that much. Yeah, 18 inches. And get that off. Put on my little jump ring. Close it up. Slide on your chain. And you would need another jump ring to attach. We're not doing chains today. I'm just showing you. So you get an idea of what it looks like. And then you just attach a lobster clasp or any type of clasp that you would like. And there's your piece. There it is. There is your statement piece. So different. Here I have a little. Let me put it on here so you can kind of see what it looks like. Back here. So you can see what it looks like actually hanging. Oh my gosh, that really is pretty. Ta-da. Bring it up to the other camera so you can get a good look. I'm gonna fidget around here. There it is. Isn't that neat? Oh, that came out so much prettier than I even imagined, and I knew it was going to be pretty. That's the only thing about black felt. Okay, anyway, there it is. There's our piece. That's one of our pieces that we've done today. Let's take a look at the second one. Let's see here. It's off of here. Yeah, we'll just cut another piece. Let's just cut another one. 18 inches. $18 is like the standard length for a necklace. So that's the one I always go with. And there we go. Put a jump ring on it. Get it all set up. Something on there. Okay. Sorry, I'm just primping here. There it is. Oh, that is pretty. Goodness gracious. That came out lovely. I wish it wasn't so glary. I don't know what to do about that. Maybe turn that light off. Let's turn it this way. Can we light up? Maybe that's a little better. Yeah, that is pretty, if I must say so myself. They're both very pretty. Thank you, Matt. Very, very pretty. And lots of fun to make. So easy to make. It's all about your own artistic vision as far as how you do it. Gosh, they're completely different. That's it. That's our piece for today. You got 2 pieces for the price of 1 class, which was free anyway. So anyway, there you have it. You can take that wire and tubing and you can shape it any way you want. I mean, this is what I did for this one. And I didn't put any beads on it because I was just playing around with it yesterday to see how it would look. And that I've got it. That is really neat. I love it. I love it without the beads. And I think I would love it if I put beads on it. But honestly, I think this is really pretty without them. If I put beads on them, I'd probably just put them up here and leave the rest of it as it is because I like it. And that's it. Off with the glasses. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is our program for today, and I hope you liked it. I hope I didn't go too long, but I hope you think it was worth it because you actually got to things to work on. So that's it. We're finished. What am I looking at here? Are we recording? Yes, it says recording in the corner. Okay, so that's our program. I feel like I'm all over the place. That's our program for the day. Let me know how you liked it. Please show me your creations. When we do something like this that is completely organic, I love to see what you come up with because you never cease to surprise me and amaze me with your talent. And I want to see it. I want to see what your artistic vision is with these kinds of components. So please let me know what you do. Let me see what you do. You can post it on the DeKalb County Library site if you want to. It's DeKalb County, Georgia, the DeKalb County Library System. I cannot call up the Facebook page off the top of my head, but if you put DeKalb County, Georgia Facebook, DeKalb County Library, Georgia Facebook in your search engine, you'll be able to find it. And I would love for you to find this video on there and post your pictures in the comments. Or you can send it to me by email to jewelrygin20@gmail.com. That's JEWLRYGIN 20@gmail.com. And I will post them for you. But either way, I'd love to see them. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your feedback in regard to how this went. I've got a ton of lights on because it's so overcast today, which makes it all shadowy, but you do what you can do. Until next time, have a good rest of your week. Have a great weekend, and see you later.